Okay, we are recording now, if that matters. We're going over lesson 43, least common multiples. We did least common multiples last year with pre-algebra stuff. Call it LCM, least common multiple. And I like to think of the least common multiple as being thought of as locating the most. Take the L and the C for the word locate, and M for most. Okay, locate the most. That'll make more sense once I show it to you. But that's kind of the key. Once I started using that idea with students, it's made it easier to remember how to find least common multiple. So if we're asked to find the least common multiple of 8, 15, and 100, we're going to do the product of primes of each. Product of primes means cake method. So just getting that broke down. Okay. So LCM, think of that as locating the most. What do I mean by that? Locate where 2 shows up the most times. Where does 2 show up the most times in any one of our 3 numbers? Yeah, under 8. There's 3 of them. Now locate where 3 shows up the most. Second one. Locate where 5 shows up the most. And do I have any other primes that are in that list? Like 7, 11, 13? No. So we take the ones that we located as being our most, and we multiply those together, which you can use a calculator on, to get you your least common multiple. That'd be the smallest number that they would all go into. It would also be, if those were the 3 denominators of a fraction, that would be your common denominator. Yes, ma'am?
If it's the smallest one on the 100, wouldn't it be 2? Why is it 5?
I didn't say anything about small. I said locate the most.
Oh.
So we go through, where does 2 show up the most times? Right here. Together, it shows up the most times together here. 3 shows up here. 5 shows up twice here compared to once here. So we're just locating the most in each one of the numbers and taking that amount. I'm not taking these 2 because there's only 2 here and I had 3 here. And so I'm taking the one that has the most of that number. Okay. Yes?
Okay, on homework, the thing.
Hang on that just a minute.
Did we learn this a different way like before?
Last year we learned it different.
You might have.
Yeah.
You still use the, you should have used the cake method.
I didn't.
I use like a tree type thing.
Same thing. Okay.
Little branches.
You're learning it now then this way if you don't remember. So locate the most of each item. Okay. Same, 30, 75, and 80. And we break each of those down. 3 is 25, 5, 5, 5, 1, 2, 40, 2, 20, 2. Okay, so then we just start. Locate the most 2's. Where are the most 2's at?
80.
In 80. So I'm going to take those. Where is 3 the most seen the most times?
It's in 2 of them.
It's in 2 of them. There's a tie, isn't there?
Yeah.
So if there's a tie, you get to pick which one you want.
What's the first one?
Okay, so Dalton's picking the first one for you guys, so that one's picked. Locate the most 5's.
Middle, second one.
And the second one. And then you multiply those together. So you have 2 to the 4th times 3 times 5 to the 2nd. Use a calculator to multiply those out, and that would give you your answer. That's the least common. That's the smallest number that those 3 numbers will all go into. Locate the most. go to some work here.
Wouldn't that be 7 go to 10?
What would be what?
560. 560. Or 70.
Oh, you're saying if we started with 7? So she's starting with 7, so yeah, 7 times 8 is 56, so 80. So she chose to use 7. I would have probably went with 2, but that's fine. Then at 80 we have, I'm going to go 2. And the order that you do this in, remember, doesn't matter as long as you're doing your arithmetic correctly. Okay, 5,288, I'm not messing around. I know it's going to be divisible by 2. 2 will go into 5 twice with 1 left over is 9 and 4. Still going to use 2. 2 will go into 2 once, goes into 9 4 times with 1 left over. 2 goes into 14, 7. 7 goes into that, 21. 3, 7, 7, 1, whichever direction you go with that. This one, don't use 10, because 10 is not a prime number. So if you want to use 5, we can use 5. 5 will go into 12 twice with 2 left over. That's 25. 5 goes into 25. 0. 5 is 50. 5 is 10. 5, 2, 2, 1. So it didn't take too much. But now we need to locate the most of each. Where does 2 show up the most times? Shows up 4 times here. Where does 3 show up the most times? Right here. Where does 5 show up the most times?
Third.
Definitely in the third. And 7, we have 2 of those right there. Again, then take your calculator. It's 2 to the 4th times 3 times 5 to the 4th times 7 squared would be some really big number.
1,
And
4,
that was the
7,
answer.
0, 0, 0,
Yeah, we actually have to find the answer.
I was just looking at that. Yeah, since you're using a calculator, actually multiply that out. I'm going to let you use calculator. You can use mine, you can use yours. If you have one of your own, that's fine. Now, we wouldn't just, in algebra, do this again this year since we did it last year.
So
We have to add something to it,
Like
Variables.
like variables,
Are you kidding me?
Oh my god.
and we make an algebraic expression.
I hate algebra.
Go ahead, say your stuff.
Hi. This is cool.
All right. This is preparing us for common denominators type things, for rational expressions. Well, we need to find the least common multiple, and I'm going to, I don't think I've tried this before, but I'm going to try. Let's do the cake method with this and just see what happens. I don't know, I may be,
Hang on, I'm confused.
don't worry, don't, just watch and we'll see what happens. Will 3 go into 15? Yes. And so I'll have an a squared b still. 5 goes into there, it gives me a 1a squared b. Then I can go b would be a squared, and a, and then I'm to 1.
No, I didn't do that.
Okay. I don't think it's necessary to do that, but I'm just showing you to do it. Showing you that it would work. Let's not do that. That's, like I said, that's the first time I ever thought about doing that, and I'm not going to think about doing it again, I don't think. But what we can get to is it does get us to here.
Did it not work?
Yeah, it'll work. I just don't like it. I don't think it's necessary. So we get this one broke down to that, this one to this. We're going to locate the most 2's. 2 shows up once, 3 shows up once, 5 shows up. There's a tie, so pick one once. 6 times 5 is 30. Okay, that's the coefficient value of your least common multiple. Finding the algebraic, or finding the variable least common multiple is easier. Locate the most. Where does a the most at? A squared or a? A squared. Where is b the most? B or b cubed? Pretty simple, isn't it?
Oh.
So that's why we're not going to worry about
That's way easier than
taking that
it
out.
could be.
Because you're locating the most. So you just have to use that method to get your coefficient value, your numerical value, and just find the most of your exponent or your variable. This one you shouldn't even need to use your product prime. What's your least common multiple for 4 and 6? 12, and then your x is going to be x cubed and an m. Because they're tied, you just put it down once. Relax, relax, relax. Take a deep breath. 4 and 6 will both go into 12, correct?
Wait, 4 and 6. Yeah.
Okay. And then the most exponents on the x's was a 3.
But could you do that on the other ones?
And the most m's was an m. That's what we did on the other one.
But you did it's just
That's-
like doing the cake method.
We just skipped doing the cake method because it's easy to see the most because they have exponents on them already.
I'm talking about the number one, where you got the 12.
You skipped the cake method on 12.
Yeah. Pretty obvious.
Could you do that on the other one?
He's gonna do it.
Yeah, but it'd be harder.
You,
Could you do like?
if
could
you recognize it, yes. If you don't, if I give you the numbers 33, 75, and 89,
You're not gonna recognize
are you going to be able to do that in your head to find the least common multiple? No. Then do it the other way. If it's 6, 2, and 7, could you probably find it? Yeah. So do what you need to do. Okay. I'm not going to expect you to do a whole bunch of work on something that you can figure out. Like 12 and 14. Could you do 12 and 14?
Yeah.
144.
I don't think about it.
Will 14 go into 144? I don't know.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, I don't know. So for me, this is kind of a borderline. So I'm going to take a couple of seconds to do this because it doesn't take too long to break these down. To me, it doesn't. Because you get to here, and it doesn't have to be real pretty, but most 2's, you have 2. So 2 squared, the most 3's, the most 7's. 4 times 3 is 12 times 7 is 84. So it ends up being smaller even than the 144 we thought it might be, so it wouldn't go into that. But 84 is your least common multiple, and then your x term would be cubed, because the most x's is cubed. A term would be a, and m to the 4. Alright, there you go. Now, I wrote down your assignment on Edmodo, which a number of you have seen already, but we're going to finish up, I told you 42, lesson 42, we're going to do 16 through 30. And then I want you on problem set 43 to do 1 through 29 odds. I may add a couple because I want to make sure to get this new material included in that.
What are odds?
It would be number 15 and 14.
14.
Yeah.
I'll skip 14, it's just the basic one, so make sure you get 15. So you have 30 problems still.
You can't miss the odds.
You shouldn't miss the odds, but you should have work with them.